Welcome to a new episode of the Beauty of Business podcast. On today's episode, our guest joins us from the other side of the world, from the US. She has over 20 years experience in the trucking business, has started multiple companies, and now runs a SaaS business. Welcome to the podcast, Nisrine.
Thank you for having me on today, Alexander. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. How did you get started in the trucking industry?
So it's kind of a long story. My background is in sales, and I was working initially, like my career starts in sales. I worked for a construction company, which is kind of funny. I worked for them in sales. And from there, I moved on into working for a third-party logistics company, doing sales, customer service. I did a lot of things for that company. I ended up getting into like rating, but my specialty was really sales. That's been kind of the passion of everything. So at the time, my business partner, who I'm partners with for Condor Moving Systems, he handled on the operation side of things, and I started off doing sales for him, and basically just grew that company, doing what I do best, which is selling. And that's kind of like the history of me and selling and getting to where I'm at today. But that is the history of my journey and career, and building up with Condor Moving Systems.
So, 20 years ago is a long time. How has sales changed since you got started until today?
I think all the tools that I use today are obviously different. When I started doing sales, now I feel really old when I have to say things like this, but obviously social media didn't exist. There was really no social media. I think Facebook was there, but it wasn't like what it is today. Yeah. Instagram isn't what it was today. There was no TikTok. There's no, everything was kind of more old school. I don't really even think I think texting was a thing, but it wasn't so big like marketing and for the text marketing side of things. Obviously, AI wasn't in existence. So there were a lot of things that were different. I still remember when we first started, I didn't have a formal CRM. I would generate all of my quotes on an Excel spreadsheet that I created that had all the fields that I filled up, and I would, send each client their estimate through an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a formal way of keeping all of my contacts. And part of it was because it's not that didn't exist back then. It did, but I didn't have the budget for paying for a formal CRM. Eventually, I paid for a CRM and changed that. But a lot of the automations, then the technology that's available today, obviously wasn't there. So that has changed tremendously. And today's reach is a lot different than what it was back then. Back then, it was more, you rely on a lot more mail. Yeah. Which is kind of funny because now I also do mail marketing, and that is working. That has a really high return, even though it's old school. Sometimes some old school methods still work where you kind of have to like mix and match. You still have a client base who doesn't really rely on social media or rely on that. They're not maybe on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or wherever some of the advertisers on YouTube. They're not on any of that stuff. So they're still on the old school methods. So you kind of have to mix it up. But yeah, definitely sales has really changed a whole lot with the technology that we have at hand today.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've read a couple of the kind of OG marketing books from Claude Hopkins and Ogilvy, and they talk a lot about direct mail marketing. And it's very interesting to see kind of the principles and how they work, and how we kind of use the same principles today, just in different mediums. And I've been thinking about the direct mail marketing as well, because it is more analog. It might have a place in the marketing mix for today as well, especially in some kind of niche or industry, because like you said, maybe your audience isn't on TikTok. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the marketing and sales funnels change going forward, because we also get more kind of aware of how much screen time we actually have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, one thing that for a while I didn't do the mail piece of it anymore. I kind of scratched it and put it off to the side because I thought this is too old school. But believe it or not, it still has a return because now it's more of a surprise. Like, oh my gosh, did I just get something in the mail? Who mailed me something? Unless it's like an Amazon delivery and you're not really getting things in the mail. So when someone, one of the things that I tell my salespeople, and I said, this is a really good thing to do. When you talk to a client and you provide them with a quote, send them a handwritten card in the mail. Like, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated you taking the time to speak with me today. I enjoyed, providing you with an estimate for your, whatever, your move, or, if it's on the SaaS side, it's going to be a little bit different. So we don't really do the mail piece there. But when you send that personalized message to them, now they're, they'd be like me at home opening up my mailbox if it's just junk or bills. But then I'm like, oh, wait, I got a card. Who sent me a card? You're going to take the time and open it up because now you're surprised that someone's still sending cards in the mail. Usually it's a text message or a digital card or an email. It's not personalized, but when someone takes the time to like do something that's personal, it's kind of surprising that still exists.
Yeah. It's also way more intimate as well, because if you get it at home, at least, it's already in your home and you are reading it by yourself at home, so it's more comfortable. So it's going to be very interesting to see how we actually move from digital to more physical or kind of old school tactics again.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having kind of a variety of both, and then knowing who your audience is, I think is really important. And some methods that will work and some methods that won't work depends on what you're selling too. So I think it just kind of the situation and the scenario really plays and key. On a SaaS side, sending a personalized letter may not work. It may not. So it just depends. But on a B2C situation, then that retail consumer gets something in the mail. One big retailer in the US, I don't know if you guys have them in Europe, but Nordstrom's, when I would shop at Nordstrom, the sales rep that helped me in the store would always send me a personalized card saying, thank you for shopping there. And I always thought that was very nice because most retail stores don't send you a thank you card. So I don't know if they're still doing it, but they used to. And I've always thought that was, it made me feel important. So
Yeah,
I would want to go back and shop and speak to the person that helped me because they work commission because they took the time to send me a thank you card. Now I feel important when I go to their store to shop.
yeah, I think they still do, and I know some luxury brands and luxury stores definitely do, especially if you spend enough, of course, and they take very good care of you. So yeah. You've now kind of branched out from where you started in the moving and trucking space, but you're still kind of in the same space, just in a different niche. What made you decide you had to kind of innovate the space you're in?
So the reason for the change, I saw a need and I saw an opportunity. Had I not been in the space that I was in, I wouldn't have seen the need. Had I just been someone who was in the software side of things, I would have probably never thought there was a need for this, right? Just been, thinking of developing something or developing for someone. So the idea came from a need that I actually needed as a business owner. And I saw an opportunity. I sat on the opportunity for a long time because I wasn't sure, should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? Should I not do it? But I'd been in business for so long that I felt that if I didn't do it, it would be a missed opportunity. And it was, as an entrepreneur, I knew I needed to take the risk and doing and developing it because there is a need for it. Absolutely need. And with where I'm at with it today, I know that there is a need and there is an interest. I've, had a lot of interest, and our subscription count and user count keeps going up by the day. So definitely saw an opportunity, and I like to challenge myself quite a bit. So I'm always looking for new opportunities, and it was something that the business I already understood. So I felt like the development side would be something that I wouldn't really struggle with because I kind of knew the operational end of running the company, running a moving company. So now developing a tool that a moving company could use wouldn't be so hard because I understand the logistics of how it operates on the internal side of what it actually needed. So that's kind of the reason why I took the change, is because I saw the opportunity, that there was an opportunity there,
Yeah,
and
because
to diversify.
yeah, and you started a SaaS company, a software as a service company. Um, how did you actually start it? Did you build it yourself? Did you outsource the coding or the building of the SaaS to other people?
So as far as my skill set, I have, I know basic HTML. I've built some websites on my own. For the moving company, I've built most of the websites. I maintain the sites. I've always been very tech savvy and very interested in technology. And I'm surprised I never really went into that field, into computer science or coding and development, because that's always been kind of something that I've really liked. But career wise, that's not the path that I, ended up taking. So to answer your question, I did outsource, and I have outsourced my development. So I do have a development team that I've outsourced to. They have, if I had to code, I probably could have coded, but it would have probably taken me 10x the time. It would have been like trial and error, trial and error. And so for that reason, I didn't take that I didn't take the route. I outsourced. I interviewed many teams across the world, and ended up finding a team that I felt fit my budget, fit, my vision, felt like I had the right confidence in them, and I'm still working with them till today. And that seems to be working really well. And I kind of looked at it as, because some, so that was kind of a fear that I had. There was a fear of, okay, not coding this myself, are they going to build it like I want it, But I've been very involved in development. I've been very involved in testing, and I'm very involved on the platform on a day-to-day basis. So the fears of like me not actually coding kind of have subsided, because not every business owner, if you're, own a restaurant chain business, the owner is not the one in the kitchen cooking, unless it's a private restaurant. So I had to kind of let that fear go and like put it in the hands of someone else, and make my team responsible for what they were developing and what we were building.
Yeah, that's funny because on both two previous episodes, we've kind of touched on the being a leader or the founder of a product or a team, and then kind of relinquishing control to someone else. It's not an easy task, especially if you kind of have a very precise vision of what you want to build and how you want things done. It's very hard to let it go to someone else, and then following up and making sure it's the right thing without being kind of over controlling as well. It's a fine balance.
Yeah, you have to kind of look at it too, is if you're a developer developing real estate, you're typically not the one actually doing the actual building, right? You're not the one out there digging the ditches and laying the brick and laying, plumbing and all of that. You have a team that does that for you. So it's a similar concept, except with this as technology. So I'm very involved, and I think that's important to be involved as a founder, is to be involved in the development on a regular basis, and constantly looking at what we're doing and how we're doing and what changes we need to make to improve what we're doing.
Why did you kind of pick SaaS? I know there was a need that you saw, but why kind of the SaaS model?
I like the recurring revenue model. I think that was obviously very appealing to me. And I wanted to get into technology because it's a way of life for me, to where I can be mobile. I think that was another big, that was very appealing to me as well, that I would be able to be in something where I would look at the life that I wanted to have, and that was really important for me, is to be able to, if I wanted to work from Thailand, I could work from Thailand. If I wanted to be in, Europe somewhere. I could be in Europe. I could be in France. I could be in Italy. I could be in, I could be in the Caribbean. I could be wherever and still run a business and still have a career and still have a business, work on my business. And so that was really, I think, the number one thing that I really was very appealing to me was that to be able to not be in one location, not to be grounded to one location, as I wanted to be able to kind of float the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can relate.
Yeah.
How scalable is kind of the business model, but also the product? Because of course SaaS is kind of infinitely scalable, but how much is the product scalable in the niche you've chosen?
So as far as scalability in the US, like currently we're in the US only. I've had a lot of interest in Canada, and eventually we can expand to other parts of the world as well, because the model that we've built really can fit any country that's in the transportation and household goods. So definitely we're scalable. I think right now I've just kept within the US to ensure that we have a product that actually, we're still fairly new. We're in, 1 year in business. So we're still fairly new. So the concept's still fresh, and we're still making enhancements to our product on a regular basis. But that's with any, technology, is that once you've developed, it's never really over. It's constant development, constant changes, constant improvements. And I look at kind of like user engagement and see how we need to change to adapt to what our clients need. So the US is really kind of my target base, testing market to see how well we're going to grow, and how we're going to grow, and how we're going to scale. But we're growing on a steady path right now. I think we gain anywhere between 3 to 5 users per day, which is pretty good. And our churn rate's pretty low. So we kind of changed our subscription model plan to make it very user friendly, and to really attract users to stay on long term versus losing subscribers. And so we've done some things on our end to kind of keep to hold clients on.
Yeah, because you have to feed kind of both the clients that pay and actually the reason why they're there as well. But also, how could you kind of copy paste the SaaS model or the SaaS you have built to another industry?
As far as another industry, we would have to stay within the trucking industry because we are trucking related. But the trucking industry is huge because the trucking industry is transporting so many things. What makes us very niche is that we've focused on the household goods side of things. So our model is based and built for household goods movers. But if we wanted to expand into, general freight and other transportation of other commodities, we could definitely do that. But what makes us different than other SaaS models and load boards that are out there currently is that we're built and designed for household goods and moving companies that are operating. So that's what makes us different.
How do you actually get sales, and how do you market this type of product? Because it's niche in terms of it's not mass market, it's kind of very specific.
Yeah, absolutely. So our marketing, we reach out to, we've done a lot of email marketing. We've done some postcard marketing, mail marketing. We've done SMS marketing. We've done, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything digital that you can think of. We're doing online. We pull databases from different sources to see who's licensed in our industry to transport household goods. And we've reached out that way to all of those clients. I've done a lot of networking on LinkedIn, believe it or not. So LinkedIn has been my, favorite out of all of the social media platforms as far as reaching out and networking with people. And then I have a full-time in-house marketing person who does nothing but we work on marketing all day long, every day. And she does it. She works for both companies, but she is in-house, and all day long, that's what we do is we just drive. We're looking to drive for business, looking for business through any platform or any, medium that we can. So we have new content. If you look at our socials, our content's just fresh. Constantly, we have content, new content released on a regular basis.
Is it any kind of trade shows and those types of things as well, or is it mostly online based?
So we do have industry trade shows, and I haven't attended any of the trade shows yet because as being a startup, I self-funded this project, so
Yeah.
I'm not bootstrapped. And um, I've kept um, my marketing budget I've made very small,
Yeah.
and but it works, and it's kind of like you see. I don't know if you watch Shark Tank, you'll have these people that go on and they've said, okay, what was your marketing budget? And they said $0. I'm like, that's my marketing budget. It's
Yeah.
$0. We have really spent very little money to gain the subscribers that we have. And I have done as much outreach as possible with the least expensive methods. And they've worked, and we've organically we're rising up on the search engines just organically, just because we've gained a lot of traction and stuff, and so that's been really cool to see that happen. But when people have tried to sell me on marketing, spend this much and this much, I'm like, oh, no, 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 I don't do that. And they kind of look at me like I'm crazy, and I said, if it's inexpensive and it's free, I do it, but if it's not, I don't, because for the method that I'm currently doing, it's working. And
Yeah.
so I've chosen not to, spend heavy dollars on that. And I'm spending the dollars on development. That's where we're spending our money on, is developing and making a product that's stable and good and will deliver what our clients need. And I think from there, the word of mouth is just spreading on its own. So with the current outreach that we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's very, very entrepreneur founder story in terms of kind of just grind marketing instead of spending the big bucks. It's usually,
Marketing can be expensive, you know,
yeah,
it's
it's
not,
usually me
yeah.
who kind of sends you an email and says, "Hello, you have to spend this much." But it's very cool to see how much you can actually get done by creating content and just reaching out to people. Um, what's the goal with the SaaS business?
My long-term goal with Movers Dispatch Board, as far as like on the operational side of things, our goal is to make it a load board and a place where my clients can get on there and they're able to dispatch whatever they're trying to dispatch, whether it be household, like a load of household goods, a container, an auto, anything that they're trying to dispatch, that they're able to dispatch within minutes. They're able to find a reputable carrier. So that's my goal and vision for the company itself. As far as my obviously long-term vision with Movers Dispatch Board and how I envision, hopefully we'll be able to grow. I'm definitely looking for not actively seeking partners, but I'm definitely looking for partnerships and collaborations, more collaborations than anything, with other, CRM providers or other industries that are in my industry that have platforms that we can help each other, but we're not doing the same thing. So that's kind of my vision with that.
No vision of selling
I would
long term, of course.
I would consider in the long term. Yeah, I would consider it. I mean, I always tell everyone, I've had so many people, that have met me and said, hey, I want to partner with you. I want to do this with you. I want to do, and I tell everybody, look, as a smart business person, I never turn any opportunities away. I never turn I will consider any opportunity. Someone brings me an opportunity, I will hear you out. Now, whether I do it or not, that's another story. But always willing to take new opportunities on. So, I would never say no to anything up front. I always will hear
Sure.
everyone out.
Uh, for us to get a more insights to how things work, can you kind of explain how the SaaS works on the user side and then kind of on the back end for you as well?
Yep. So As far as the user themselves, what it's basically meant to do is if you're a moving company and you're interlining loads, and what that means is that if you're picking up a load, but you're needing help with the delivery portion or even maybe the origin services, either like destination services or origin services, you're able to go on to Mover's dispatch board and post that load and then cross hands with like another moving company to deliver. So for example, I'll kind of just lay it out really easily. I'm a moving company. Let's say I'm in Texas and you're in California. I've picked up a client in Texas and they picked up their household goods and I brought them into my warehouse. They're not ready for delivery right away. But let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they're ready for delivery and the load needs to go to California. But my current trucks, I don't have a truck running to California. Maybe the shipment's not large enough. Maybe it's, a quarter of a trailer. It's not going to fill up a full trailer and I don't have enough loads to get it to California on a full trailer. So what I would do is post it on Mover's dispatch board. And let's say now your company, you happen to be in Texas at the time because you were delivering your clients in Texas. You get on Mover's dispatch board because you need some additional tonnage or, loads to haul back to California. So you're not running empty. You get on the load board, you see, okay, this moving company has, cubic footage loads that I'm interested in. You request them from Mover's dispatch board and then it connects you and I together. And then you come to my facility, load the shipment, and then do destination services for the client. It can happen in the reverse sense too, where if it's origin services, you need someone to pick up a load. Let's say it's out of Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, and you need someone to pick up goods out of a client's home and hold them in their warehouse until your driver can get there to do destination services, then that would work as well too. So that's kind of like on a very, over, the best way to explain it easily.
Yeah. Oh, it's also very interesting to hear because I'm from such a small country and we're not that many people as well. So I don't know if this is actually an issue in that small of a country. It sounds like you need a lot of movers at the same time for it to work. So also kind of a big distance because, like you said, if you only truck in California or the West Coast, it's far to Texas or to New York. While in Norway, it's not that far from west to east.
No, in Norway, the concept probably would not work.
Oh, maybe.
So the only way,
yeah, that would
unless
be
there was
maybe Europe as kind of a
Europe. Yeah, and we could see it being in Europe or any country that was large enough to that it would to have to cross a shipment could have to cross multiple hands before it got to destination.
Yeah. So when I move from Norway to Italy, then I'll call. Do you have any other businesses or projects you're interested in doing in the future? I know you got your hands full at the moment, but yeah.
The funny thing is that I'm always looking for different opportunities. And my daughter said to me, she said, Mom, because I'm always like, oh, what if I do this? Or what if I do this? She said, Mom, I don't think you need any more businesses. But honestly, I think at this time right now, my focus is on Mover's dispatch board and it needs my focus 100%. So to make it to really build this company up properly, it's got to have my focus 100%. So if my focus is somewhere else, I'm still in such an early stage.
Yeah.
1 year in business is not a very long time. So if I walked away from this project right now, there's potential for, a lot of issues. And so for that reason, I would only, I wouldn't consider any other projects at the time, unless it was a financial investment of like, putting something into, money into something that I didn't have to actually, maintain or build or maybe financial like investment opportunities, but not so much something that required my management or my attention.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then maybe later. Yeah.
Yeah. not today, but trust me, I think about things on a regular basis. I think about different opportunities, and then the other side of me says, no, you have enough. You
Yeah.
have your plate full right now. There's no more time for you to allocate because I still have to sleep. So
Yeah, it's
there's
also
no
kind
more
of
time.
the woman in the red dress principle. I don't know if you've heard about the Matrix.
Tell me.
Um, uh, when Neo's in the Matrix, it's always a woman in the red dress because your focus goes to something else that it shouldn't be. So that's also in terms of business opportunities and ideas as well. You should be focusing on one thing at once, or at least most people should. And then the woman in the red dress comes by, and then you turn your head.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, 100%. I agree with that. That's the first time I've heard of that, but that is very true. But as an entrepreneur, when you are in business for a long time and it's hard not to think of different
Yeah.
opportunities, and it's hard not to think about, ways of making money because that's what you're designed and built to do. And that's the way my brain works. I'm always looking for opportunities, but sometimes you just have to, like you said, don't look the lady in the red dress. So,
Any tips for founders, entrepreneurs?
you know, I have a lot of different tips and it just kind of depends, but I think the main thing is that you never really give up on what you're doing and what you're building. The minute that you've given up on it, it's going to fail. So you will have your ups and downs. Definitely, that's with anything. There's days that I think about, oh, why did I do this? But that's normal. That's normal. You'll have your ups and downs, but the thing is that you have to have a vision and a goal and you have to stick to it. There will be bumps along the road. There will be things that set you back. Setbacks will always happen, but to not to let that divert you from the target and from the mission of what you're trying to accomplish. So to stay focused on what you had in mind to do. So I think that's very important is to have a set goal and a set vision of what you're trying to accomplish and just know that there are roadblocks that will happen. There will be failures. There will be things that, will come along your way that will make you question what you're doing, but
Yeah,
that's just normal. You have to keep going. You have to keep pushing. And so I think that's the biggest thing.
couldn't
It's
agree
not
more.
easy. If it was,
No.
it's not easy. If it was easy, I tell people that all the time. Other business owners that I know that I talk to, other entrepreneurs, if it was easy, everybody would do it. But the thing is not everybody can do it. So it's not for everyone. Definitely not, but you have to be ready for the work because it does take
Yeah,
work.
yeah, it takes a lot of work. I I know. Um, Kind of the last question. Every guest gets the same question, and it's what is the beauty of business to you?
Well, so for me, the beauty of it all is, and then this is going to sound really maybe, and funny, but for me, it's just knowing that I've accomplished something. So for me, it's self-gratification, knowing that I was able to accomplish whatever goal I had set for myself. So I do this for myself, you know. The beauty of business is knowing that you have taken something and may have been nothing and that you have created something out of nothing. And with like my first company, I look at it and I think about I still remember when I built that company with my partner and it was nothing. And now it's a company of 20 years with like procedures and policies. And it's interesting to see how that comes along the way because you're like, wow, I did this. So I think that part of it is really rewarding to know that you have built something. The other thing too is that you're able to build something, especially with like Mover's dispatch board, that's able to help a bunch of other people.
Yeah,
And I think that's very rewarding is that when you can build something that other people benefit from and that it's helping other people enhance what they're doing. And so that's very rewarding.
awesome. Where could people find you? Where can they contact you, and who should contact you?
Well, here's the thing. I tell everyone, feel free to always contact me. I am always available, whether it be you're interested in being a client from Movers Dispatch Board, if you're wanting some motivational tips on, you're running a business. I always try to make myself available for people because I think that that's my way of giving back. So I'm available on LinkedIn. People can DM me on LinkedIn if you want to just share my LinkedIn profile. And I'm always available by email. I've always made my email available to everyone. So it's nisrine@moversdispatchboard.com. So, they can send an email or connect with me on LinkedIn and DM me there. So
awesome. Of course, link to both companies plus your LinkedIn in the show notes and bio. And thank you for telling your story today.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me.